So let's go back to our top story, that is of the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court requesting an international arrest warrant for Myanmar's military leader Min Aung Hlaing. It is the first such application following a 5-year investigation into suspected crimes against the Rohingya in Rakhine State between 2016 and 2017. For more on this, we are joined by Dr. Rahman Yaakob, who is Research Fellow of the Southeast Asia Program at Lowy Institute, speaking with us from Sydney. It's good to see you, Dr. Rahman. So with these multiple allegations against the general, how far realistically can Myanmar and its military go in rejecting this case with its excuse of not being a member of the ICC?
Thank you for having me. I think you're quite, you made a good point there that, they are not members of the ICC. And furthermore, if you look at the relations, Myanmar international relations, it focuses more on China and Russia. These two countries, they are not interested to cooperate with the ICC. And furthermore, if you look again at the Myanmar relations with ASEAN member states, most of the ASEAN member states apparently are not members of the ICC itself. So in actual fact, I think the Myanmar junta could actually travel to ASEAN countries, to Russia and China, without fearing being arrested or detained and be sent over to face the ICC. So I think while on paper it looks good, but on the reality on the ground is that I think more needs to be done to take the junta to task, actually.
I want to pick up on your point about the ASEAN members. They've been really trying to guide Myanmar in doing right by the Rohingya. Do you see this ICC warrant request helping them in this cause?
Yes and no. I think the important thing, if you look at ASEAN per se, it is acting on the basis of non-interference, and the fact that we have this new arrest warrant, or the application of an arrest warrant, it may actually complicate ASEAN efforts to address the Myanmar issue. So the junta may decide not to engage the ASEAN's representative that much. And I think that's one aspect of it. But on the other hand, this development may actually compel the junta to take a backseat, assess the situation and say, look, we have to work with ASEAN to find solutions. So going forward, we will need to see what's the future development. At this point in time, it's a bit difficult to assess the impact of this development.
And on the defense front, which is your specialization, how do you see the Myanmar military realigning itself and its stance towards Rohingya after this expose of its alleged exploits?
Yes, interestingly, if you look at the junta, that he has actually tried to employ or engage the Rohingya to fight on his behalf, even though the Rohingya is not recognized as Myanmar citizens. And I think one of the reasons is because the junta itself is facing a shortage of military, of manpower. I think before the military conflict occurs, it is estimated that the junta has about 150,000 troops. Only about 70,000 of them are in the combat roles. So if you look at the number, 70,000 soldiers for combat roles, it is not enough to deal with the rebels. I think at this point in time, the Tatmadaw or the Myanmar Armed Forces are facing threats from multiple fronts, from the north, south, from the border regions. And from what I've seen in recent days, they are losing quite a fair bit of military command posts in recent days. So I think this is a problem that they are facing. I believe that they are going to look forward to have to employ more Rohingyas to go to the front line to assist them. I think we will see the situations getting a fair bit worse in the future.
Then how could this arrest warrant request improve or change the plight of Rohingya, if at all?
Yeah, I hope with this arrest warrant, it will actually compel or encourage the junta to reassess its treatment of the Rohingya. I think for example, it should stop forcing the Rohingya to join the Tatmadaw. That's one option. And secondly, I think we have reports from the human rights watch groups that the Rohingya actually have been isolated in Myanmar. Food supply has been cut off, livelihood has been affected. So I hope with this development, the junta will recalibrate and we look at its policy and engagement with the Rohingya. But I think, sad to say, I do not think there will be much improvement on the fate of the Rohingya because at the end of the day, they are still being targeted by one of the rebel forces, the Arakan army. So in the latest fighting, we have seen the Rohingya being squeezed in the middle, caught in the fightings between the Arakan army in the south and the Myanmar junta. So going forward, I hope the elements of the rebel forces, the Arakan army that has targeted the Rohingya and violated their rights, they could also be taken to task by the International Criminal Court of Justice. Yeah.
Well, they have a lot on their plate, the ICC then. We've talked about the Rohingya and their day-to-day livelihoods and how that could be better, but Rohingyas want some justice, and by some accounts, they're already celebrating with this arrest warrant request for the general. If not by the unraveling of the general, then how can justice be handed to them?
Yeah, I mean, one of the alternative way is for a peace agreement to occur or to take shape in Myanmar. It could happen if elements of the junta decided to take over power, overthrow the current junta leaderships, and send them over to the ICC to be on trial. So that's one possibility, and I think this can only occur if the junta is losing more and more ground on the battlefield. So I think at the end of the day, at this point in time, I believe that the situations on the battlefield will play a more decisive role to improve the Rohingya situations. If the junta forces are being pushed, if the junta forces are being defeated on the ground, losing more grounds, I think they will be compelled to sue for peace and to replace the current junta's leadership. I mean, there is one option that is quite that we can think of. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think sad to say, again, military option, I think at this point in time is one of the solutions that we are looking at.
Appreciate your insight very much. Thank you, Dr. Rahman Yaqub, who's Research Fellow at Lowy Institute.